Welcome to the Barossa. It is autumn, and autumn means we are still picking apples. All the pears have been picked, but the apples, the later varieties, which are the Pink Lady, the Golden Delicious, and the Granny Smiths. Now, I love all of these for different reasons, but I thought I would tell you from a flavour perspective that the Pink Lady, which is a fantastic apple for both eating and cooking, and putting in cider, and doing lots of other things with, but I really do love the Granny Smith as well. But if you put the flavour of the Pink Lady in your head, what it is almost a balance for me of Granny Smith and Golden Delicious together. So you have the tartness, but you have the creamy sweetness. Golden Delicious are so fantastic when they're baked. They're a beautiful, beautiful apple, as are Granny's, but as an all-rounder, this time of the year, nothing beats Pink Lady for me. So we're going to do, I've been listening to you, I've been reading some of your comments, and I'm told you want potato dishes. So we're going to do my kind of a potato dish. And there'll be many more to follow, but I have this thing about waxy potatoes. I just love them. We have them in our garden, and we tend to bandicoot for them when we want them. They keep invading the roses, by the way. But these are from Alan and Brenda again, at the Adelaide markets. But the thing about potatoes, and I learned this from one of my sister-in-laws, firstly, if I'm buying potatoes, I will always buy potatoes that haven't been washed. They are going to keep the longest time. Also, I now keep them in the fridge, because that way it stops them going green. And it's really handy. Green potatoes on the outside, not a good thing. So a little bit of green's not going to worry you, but they so quickly go green if you have bought them in the supermarket and they're under fluorescent light. Now the other, this is the Pink Lady, and I thought I'm going to get all organised here so I can go bang, bang, bang. And to stop any apple discolouring, and I have to say Pink Lady discolours less than any other I've used. I used a tablespoon of verjuice and tossed it around, but a squeeze of lemon juice will do exactly the same thing. You want to stop them from going brown. Of course, you could do them right at the last moment, and in chefy talk, there are a few chefy things that I still say, and that is à la minute, right at the very last moment. If you chop your apples, you won't need any verjuice or lemon juice to stop them discolouring. So what have we got? Red onion, because we grow it, can be any sort of onion. I'm going to pan fry it with sage leaves, because sage and apple and sage and, oh, did I tell you there's going to be cheddar? Cheddar, now, I usually have a much better cheddar in my fridge, but I'm dealing with what I can get. And so this is just a standard cheddar, yes. The sage, and what are the other ingredients? I happen to have some creme fraiche, and I'm going to mix creme fraiche and apple and a bit of Dijon mustard. Now if I had cream, really thick cream or sour cream, it would do exactly the same thing. So I'm going to put these ingredients on together to come to a simmer, and I'm going to shallow fry the onions with the sage. And then it's just a compilation, the sort of thing that it's lovely if someone helps you do all that chopping, but it's very satisfying, and it's very comforting. And I do love potatoes, but the fact that I've used waxy, that's just my little thing. You can use any potato. So, to the stove. I love sage, but if you don't cook it properly, it's soapy. And this way it's not going to be crisp by cooking it with the onion. It's worth paying attention to sage to get that fantastic flavour. Okay, I'm actually going to put it in first. I'm going to sizzle the sage right at the beginning because the last thing I want is soapy sage, and then I'll add the onions and turn it down. But I could have this going on. Okay, I have this half cup that happens to be creme fraiche, but as I said, could be cream, sour cream, and it might be a little bit more because I just scrape the bottom of the barrel here. Surprising, when I'm cooking for myself, cooking for Colin and I, or the family, I cook without thinking. And having to cook that you can follow, I really have to concentrate at times. And that's when I'm far more likely to stuff something up. A tablespoon of Dijon mustard. Now you don't need the Dijon mustard. I just happen to love Dijon mustard with both potato and apple. So I thought, why not? I cooked it on the weekend without, but I had really bitey, beautiful cheddar cheese. So because I don't have that same really bitey cheddar cheese, I'm making an adjustment. So I'll just mix this and bring this to a simmer. You know, that smell of cooking onions permeates the whole house. And because we're trying to video this on the phone, I daren't put on my exhaust fan, because you'd only hear the exhaust fan and not me. Now I want the onions to be nice and soft, but not coloured. Putting the sage in first really works, but everyone has their thing about something different, and that's just one of mine. I want to turn this down now, so I guess that's about 5 minutes, and the sage is really good. It's not soapy, it's quite crisp, but I want the onions to be soft. So now I've got it on low. Now, this is interesting. I cooked this on the weekend because a friend actually bought me some Granny Smiths and sage. But I didn't use the mustard, as I mentioned. And so in adding the Dijon, what Dijon does is pull ingredients together, so it's almost emulsified with a very thick creme fraiche. So I can see it. It feels different. So I'm just going to add a little bit more milk to make it a little bit more flowing. Milk flowing, cream flowing. But that's every time you add or subtract, you just change it, and they're the good things to do. They're the things to do that you might decide you don't like it that way, and next time you won't, but you might love it. Okay, so that's that's very close to done, so I can get myself organised over here. The apple hasn't discoloured because of that little bit of verjuice or lemon juice, if that's what you want. I washed the potatoes, but I didn't peel them because I love the potatoes not peeled, whether it's waxy or normal potatoes. Normal potatoes, no matter what variety of potato you have. For me, try to avoid peeling them, only if they've got marks on them. You might want to just take them off with a knife. Okay, so there's this. This is a baking tin, like a bread baking tin, but I can use it. For this, I'm simply, like I did a few days ago, this is a layering job. To start with the onion as a layer, then the potato. Now I've cut the potato really quite thinly, and that is because I'm trying to get this to, no, not trying, I'm cooking this without bothering to par cook the potatoes. I just want to do it as simply as is possible, so you don't think, oh, that's too much trouble, I'm not going to do that. It's not too much trouble when you don't have to par cook. So we're going to do a layer of potatoes. Now, I measured them and I had half a kilo of potatoes and about 300 grams of the apple. So I might put the cheddar on over the potato, a layer, because that will help the potato to cook. And this is actually going to take, well, it took on the weekend, it took an hour to cook. So now the apple, then the rest of the onion. I can use this scraper, that's fine. And I'll just measure that across, then a bit of, let me see, a bit of salt, pepper, then we have potatoes again, and apple, cheddar on, I forgot that. Now this is one that will cook down, because as the potatoes cook, they'll become softer and just collapse, and the same with the apple. So I'm quite happy about the guesswork of the amount of ingredients for this. So I'm now, this is so haphazard. You could put all of that together and toss it around, and a little bit of salt and a little bit of pepper. But I quite like doing the layer thing. Then this is warm, but not boiling. And I'm just going to spread, let it go through the crevices. Whoops. Now, because it's easy to think that the apple will cook, I'm going to cook this for an hour, covered with alfoil, and I have some parmesan that I will add after I take the alfoil off. So here, the reason it's going to take an hour at 180 degrees is I want the potato to become really cooked. And remember, I haven't bothered with any par cooking. I'll put this in 180 degrees and put 1 hour timer on. Simple as. 1 hour at 180 degrees, foil off, 2 tablespoons of grated parmesan, roughly grated parmesan, and back in for another 6 minutes or so. And I have some dill in the garden, but it's so fine, it's not quite ready to use yet. This would be lovely just in the center of the table, but I do love just putting a little bit of green, and I love flat leaf parsley, so long as it's only just chopped. And I can tell you, this is so moish. I think I better just serve out a little bit. You have to remember, this is a dish to go along with a piece of chicken, a lamb chop, a bit of pork and sage. That would be beautiful. So it's an accompaniment, but I love it so much I could do. It probably would be better for just allowing it to settle a little before I serve it out. So I think there's one more thing I have to add while this cools down. I want to ask you, do you know what it tastes like to eat an apple that's not long off the tree, hasn't seen a cool room, and it's local and fresh? Oh, it's beautiful just like that. Now is your time, pink ladies. Let me. Remember, this is a side dish. The potato, I just have to be sure, because I didn't bother to pre-cook the potato. I know it works, but I have to assure you. That potato, skin on, the fact that it was a waxy one to start with, but any potato will do. In fact, other varieties might not take quite as long cooking. And if you can put a knife through it really simply, you know yours is cooked. So what would we do without apples, without potatoes, and all the small things that go with it?